Okay, reading from the children's book of Bible stories. Section 14, titled Joseph in the Palace, and it's in reference to Genesis 41. The great Pharaoh, king of Egypt lived in a beautiful palace. He had many servants and many wise men. One night, as Pharaoh lay asleep in his beautiful bed, he had a strange dream. He stood by the river and saw 7 fat cows come out of the water. Then 7 thin cows came out. The thin cows ate up the fat cows, and still they were thin. He had another dream. He saw a tall corn plant with 7 big ears of corn. There was another corn plant with 7 thin ears of corn. The 7 thin ears swallowed up the 7 big ears, and still they were thin. Pharaoh awoke and said, "What a strange dream! It must surely have a special meaning." So he called his wise men. He told them the dream, but they could not tell the meaning. Just then the butler came with Pharaoh's wine. He heard about the dream and said, "O king, I know a man who can tell the meaning of dreams. His name is Joseph. He is in prison. When Pharaoh put me in prison, I had a dream. Then Joseph told me the meaning, and it came true just as he said." Then Pharaoh quickly sent for Joseph. Joseph washed himself and put on clean clothes and hurried to the palace. There he bowed low before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I have heard that you can tell the meaning of dreams." But Joseph said, "Only God knows the meaning of dreams." Then Pharaoh told the dream about the thin cows and the fat cows and the thin ears of corn and the fat ones. Joseph said, God sent, Joseph said, God sent that dream to Pharaoh to tell what is going to happen. The 7 thin cows ate up the 7 fat cows. The 7 thin ears swallowed up the 7 fat ears. That means there will be 7 years of plenty. Corn and wheat and barley will grow better than ever before, but then 7 years of famine will come. The 7 years of famine will eat up all you have in the 7 years of plenty. Pharaoh listened carefully. Then he said, "Who is wiser than Joseph? Let Joseph take care of the food to save it for 7 years of famine." So Pharaoh made Joseph governor of Egypt. He gave him a beautiful ring and a chain of gold and the very best clothes. He told all the people to obey Joseph. And Joseph lived like a king in the land of Egypt. Section 15, titled Joseph's Brothers, in reference to Genesis chapter 42. Okay. There was a famine in all the lands around Egypt. But in Egypt there was plenty of food. Joseph, the great governor of Egypt, had filled the barns with wheat and corn and barley. So from all the lands around, people came to Joseph to buy food. One day, 10 men came from a far country. They wanted to buy food. They bowed down low before Joseph. Joseph looked at them, and he saw that they were his own brothers. Long ago, these brothers had sold Joseph to be a slave in Egypt. Now he was governor, and they did not know him. Joseph made believe he did not know them. He looked angry and said, "Who are you?" They said, "We are sons of a man who lives in Canaan. We came to buy food. We have one more brother at home." Joseph said to them, "You are bad men. You are spies. I shall put all of you in prison." And that is what he did. The 10 brothers were sad in prison. They thought of their poor father, and they thought of Joseph. They remembered how he had cried when they sold him to strange men. After 3 days, Joseph let them out of prison. He said to them, "9 of you may go home. 1 must go back to prison. And when you come again, you must bring your youngest brother. Don't you dare come without him." So 9 of the brothers went home. They were sad. They said to each other, "This has happened to us because we sold our brother Joseph." They had to tell Father Jacob all that happened. They told him about the hard governor and how Simeon was in prison, and that they had to take Benjamin along next time. Then Jacob shook his head. He said, Joseph is gone, and Simeon is gone, and must you take Benjamin away too? If anything happens to Benjamin, I shall die of sorrow. Okay, section 16. Title is Joseph and Jacob Meet Again, in reference to Genesis 43 through 46. Once again, Joseph's brothers went to Egypt for food. They took Benjamin the youngest along. The governor of Egypt had said, Don't you dare come again without Benjamin. Joseph the governor said to his servant, Take these men to my house. Make a dinner for them. The servant made dinner. Then he told each man where to sit. He made them sit in a row, the oldest first and the youngest last. Simeon came out of prison to have dinner too. Joseph's brothers thought, How does this man know who is the oldest and who is next oldest and next oldest? But they did not dare ask. Okay, this is a picture of, I guess, those brothers speaking to Jacob there in Egypt, and that's the picture that's going along with this story. Okay. The next day, Joseph told them they could all go home. How glad they were to get away. Their sacks of grain were all ready. They loaded their donkeys and rode away. But Joseph had told his servant to put Joseph's silver cup in Benjamin's sack. When the brothers were riding along, they heard somebody on the horse galloping behind them. They looked, and they saw the governor's servant. He looked very angry. He caught up with them and said, How did you dare steal my master's cup? Joseph's brothers said, Oh no, we would not do such a thing. You may look in all our sacks. If you find the cup, we will all go back. We will be slaves of your master. The servant of the governor said, If I find the cup, the man who has it will be my master's slave. Then he began to hunt. He opened Reuben's sack first. Reuben was the oldest. Then he opened the next sack and the next. The silver cup was not in them. At last he opened Benjamin's sack, and there it was. Benjamin would have to be a slave. The brothers said, We will all go back with Benjamin. Very sadly, they went back to Egypt to the hard governor. Joseph the governor said, No, I do not want you all to be my slaves. I want only Benjamin. The rest of you may go home. Then Judah, one of the brothers, said, Please take me instead of Benjamin. Our father loves Benjamin very, very much. He will die if Benjamin does not come back. Take me and let Benjamin go home. Judah told about Joseph. He said, Once we had another brother. My father loved him very much. But Joseph is gone. My father cannot bear to lose Benjamin too. Then Joseph could not keep his secret any longer. He cried out, I am your brother. I am Joseph. How surprised the brothers were. They could hardly believe it. But Joseph told them how God had blessed him and how God had made him governor of Egypt. They talked a long time. Then Joseph said, Go get our father. Tell him Joseph is alive. Tell him to come to me. The brothers hurried home, and Joseph sent a chariot for his old father to ride in. So Jacob came to Egypt. Joseph rode to meet him. When they met, they threw their arms around each other and wept for joy. Jacob lived to be an old man. When he died, he thanked God for leading him all through his life so wonderfully.